I'm just going to say it. I think the Dallas Cowboys have something really special cooking for this 2026 NFL season, but they're going to be heavily dependent on the evolution and leveling up of a handful of their players. So on today's show, I'm going to give you guys 3 names who I think are imperative to the success of this team heading into 2026 and beyond, and why I think those players can evolve and take that next step and level their game up heading into this next season. Let's talk about it right now. So obviously there's a lot of names that we can throw out here that this team is depending on, some rookies included, right? Year 2 guys, all these guys this team's really counting on heading into this 2026 NFL season. We all think that DC's really going to step up and elevate a lot of these guys this year. There, where Eberflus last year just kind of, whatever the opposite of elevated, he de-elevated them. I don't know what the word is, but he just made guys worse. It felt like a lot of guys had the worst seasons of their career. And so I know we all expect Parker to get much more out of these players. So do me a favor, just give me 3 names before I even get into it. Give me 3 names down in the comments below of guys that you think are going to, or the Cowboys need to have step up in this 2026 NFL season. So first off, my honorable mentions, I'm just going to throw a few names out there. Shavon Ravel, year 2 guy. He was a rookie last year. Played with a knee brace basically the whole season. Wasn't really himself, coming back from injury. And I think it's a guy that a lot of us are high on, that we really want to step up heading into year 2. You can throw in like a Kobe Durant. He's a free agent, 1-year guy. A good cornerback. Really, I think more of a probably CB3. He's probably your 3rd cornerback on the depth chart behind Ravel and Bland to start. But he's a nice player, right? A nice depth piece, and a guy who's still going to see plenty of action on the field regardless of the health of Bland and Revel. You can also throw out guys like Terrence Steele. I've said all along this team's going to depend on its tackle play more than anything else. I think that is the key to the season. So you can throw out Terrence Steele there at right tackle. Maybe that spoils who I have on my list if I'm not mentioning the left tackle. Hint, hint, wink, wink. You can also throw out like guys like Flournoy on offense, right? Ryan Flournoy, who's your wide receiver 3 heading into 2026, might have a career season, honestly, because when you think about it and what's going to happen with George Pickens here, and who knows if he'll get traded next season, tagged and traded, if he'll be a Cowboy long-term deal, we don't know. So if Ryan Flournoy steps up and has a really, really good 2026 NFL season, that could be a guy who replaces Pickens potentially as wide receiver 2 on the roster in 2027. Who knows? So Flournoy is a name to keep an eye out on, and I like Flournoy a lot. I think he has wide receiver 2 upside potential, so I'll keep my eyes on him for sure this season. And then obviously on offense too, tight end 2 is a big question mark. I don't know if our boy Schoonmaker necessarily makes the roster in 2026, honestly. Brevin Spann-Ford is a guy that I think the Cowboys want to have and need to have step up heading into 2026. I think that Ferguson is a nice piece, but he does lack that explosiveness. Dak Prescott's one of the best seam ball throwers in the NFL, and unfortunately Ferguson just isn't really, or at least wasn't in 2025, that guy that will go up, make the plays down the seam that Dak Prescott really needs and counts on. So Brevin Spann-Ford, big body guy, not super fast, but physical player, not afraid to scrap it up. Just a big target down the middle of that field that I think is a great red zone threat, and a guy who could be a seam ball demon if the Cowboys asked him to do so. So those are some names just off the top of the dome, not necessarily in my list, but guys that I think that could step up and should step up hopefully heading into 2026. Now the first official guy on my list is Donovan Ezeraku. He was drafted last year as an edge rusher. Was expected to come in and make a huge difference on the pass rush alongside Micah Parsons. Obviously, Dallas traded Micah Parsons, so Easy was basically like the guy alongside Jadeveon Clowney and some others who, and Clowney had an okay season, but Ezeraku didn't make a ton of noise as far as sacks go. But when you actually look at the analytics, he had the 3rd most pressures of any rookie edge pass rusher in the NFL. Abdul Carter was number 1, and then James Pierce Jr. was number 2, and Pierce actually led the rookies in sacks. Only rookie with double-digit sack numbers. And so if you don't watch a ton of film, if you don't get into the analytics, to the naked eye, Ezeraku didn't really do much his rookie season. He was basically a good run-stopping edge player. But when you really dig in, you can see he was actually an impactful rookie. It's just the team around him wasn't good enough to give him a chance to go and finish these pressures off and turn him into some sacks. quarterbacks. So now you look at what this team has done moving forward. Obviously, they traded for Quinnen Williams halfway through last season. Big, huge, impactful player on the defensive interior. They traded for Rashawn Gary, edge rusher, also really good against the run off the edge. Not like a killer in pass rush, but sufficient enough to give Ezeraku a good running mate across the field from him. And you also look at what they added in the draft, Malachi Lawrence. And here's an interesting nugget I didn't know. Foots the King pointed out on a show with Zach Wilczuk this past week here. He had half the snaps that Akeem Mesidor and Ruben Bain had at Miami, right over at UCF. And he's up there. Half the snaps, 400 versus 800 plus. He's up there with pressures, the amount of total pressures that he had. That's insane. That's insane because Ruben Bain, obviously, and Akeem Mesidor are the guys that everybody's like gung-ho about. Everybody wanted. There's some concerns, obviously, with both of them, but that's the guys that everyone's talking as the best pass rushers in the draft. And here's Malachi Lawrence right up there with those guys with half the snaps. Are you kidding me? So now he's going to be a pass rush specialist. He's not going to get a lot of snaps out on the edge as far as a run defender, early downs. He's going to be, it's third and 8. 3rd and 10, go hunt the quarterback, young man. And to have that across from you with Ezeraku or Gary or whoever it might be, Dallas is really building a stable of guys who can potentially get after the passer, and that's the hope. And so now with Ezeraku going back to him, I know he has some injury concerns. He had a labrum surgery, but he should be ready to go for camp. He played through it last season. And so it's a guy that I really think that if he puts on that peanut butter muscle for year 2, that guys always do, right? Year 1 is kind of, you just come in, you're tired because you've been training for the draft, the combine. You've been, just coming off of a full season in college ball. And so year 1 is tough for rookies, but year 2, now you get a full off season with the team. You put on some weight, you get toned up, and you really work with guys who know what they're doing and get you ready to go play football in the NFL. Pair that with Christian Parker, the new defensive staff, and a bunch of guys that know ball, know what they're doing, are going to get these guys, we think, in the best position possible to succeed. I think a big year 2 is potentially loading up for Donovan Ezeraku. I think one thing I'd like to have him work on and see better from him is maybe his pass rush plan, putting together moves, because oftentimes last year you'd see him just kind of bull rush into a guy, not really have a plan, not have 2-3 moves in the, loaded up in the chamber. And so I'd like to see maybe multiple combos coming out of him heading into year 2. I think the mental game, as far as a pass rusher, is probably where he could improve the most heading into year 2. The next guy on my list is DeMarvion Overshown, inside linebacker. Now, here's a guy, shout out Chris Collinsworth, here's a guy who shines when given the chance, right? As long as injuries aren't factored in, dude's probably an all-pro. But the reality is he's been hurt more often than not. I think it's 19 games he's played since he's been here total. It's just not enough. We don't really know what he's got yet over the course of a full season. But man, when he's on and he's healthy, the dude probably is an all-pro type linebacker. It's just the injuries have taken a toll with him, unfortunately. He came back last season and he was okay. He's probably in a slightly above average linebacker, but you can take the tape for basically everybody last year and just throw it away. I don't really judge a lot based on last year, so I'm not going to sit here and say that he's not going to be the same caliber guy because of the injuries. I just don't think that anybody had a good season last year, mostly because of what the DC did. It was criminal. So I still have high hopes for him moving forward. If DeMarvion Overshown can stay healthy this season, you pair him with D. Winters and the rookie Barham, I think you've got a pretty nice trio there at linebacker. It's just the question is, can he stay healthy? That's it. And to follow that up, because of the severe injuries that he's had, is he going to be the same caliber player that he was before those 2 major injuries? That's a big question. We don't know. It's a big question mark. I think he'll be all right. Every time you get a major injury, you do lose a step, right? You're never going to be the same player. But mentally, can you get yourself over whatever that mental block might be coming back from a big injury? Can you trust your body to do what it's supposed to do? And can you play still at a high enough level to give yourself the most playing time, to put yourself in the best position possible, et cetera, et cetera? I think that DeMarvion Overshown has the mentals to be able to do that. It's just the question is, physically, is he going to be the same caliber player or close to it? And physically, can he hold up over the course of an entire season? If so, he's another chess piece that you can put all over the field. Obviously, the weak side linebacker is going to be where he's at mostly, but he's a guy that you can blitz. He's a guy that you can line up, potentially, outside, inside. It just depends on how Parker wants to use him. But when you look at how this defense operates with chess pieces and being multiple, you want to be able to move your guys kind of all over the field. You look at the two safeties, Thompson and Downs. You look at the athletic guys like Overhaul, and these are just guys that you can move. You can blitz Overhaul, potentially off the edge at times. And so I'm really curious as to how his health holds up, how he's going to be physically through camp, how he gets through camp, and just what he has left. And I hope it's still a lot. I really like this guy a lot. I liked him a lot coming out of college, and I just hope that physically he's able to hold up over the course of a whole season, and the injuries that he's had don't take a toll to where he's a lesser caliber player than what he was a couple of seasons ago. We'll see, but he is a great, if he can hold up physically, a great chess piece for Parker to use in 2026. And before I get to my third guy, I am a small and growing channel for the Dallas Cowboys. Please hit that subscribe button if you like what you've seen so far. Hit the like button that helps me get into the flow of the algorithm, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Overhaul and Ezraku and some of the other names we mentioned as honorable mentions. And with that said, let's go ahead and jump into my last guy on my list. And the last guy on my list of three, and I kind of gave it away earlier, but it's going to be Tyler Guyton. And I think, honestly, I've said it before, I think your season hinges on how your two offensive tackles play. I don't think that's an overstatement at all whatsoever, because as long as Dak Prescott is healthy and as long as he has time, he's very close to a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. He might even be top 5. You can put him probably 6, 7, maybe 5, somewhere in that range, okay? But the tackles have to hold up. One of the two at least have to hold up, being Steele and Guyton, because you can't just keep in 2 tight ends snap after snap. And really, you don't want to even keep in 1 tight end predominantly, because you want to have a vertical passing attack. You want to have your tight end out there to accompany Pickens and CeeDee Lamb and Flournoy potentially, right, at all times. The more receiving threats you can have downfield, the better. So you have to have your tackles step up and play well. And if Dak Prescott is worried about his blind side all the time, right, whether that's Guyton or Thomas or whoever's out there, it's going to start out as Guyton, but the questions are going to be physically and mentally, can he hold up? It's going to be potentially a problem this season. So if Tyler Guyton can take that next step and develop, step one is just to stay healthy, because his health has been issue number one. He can't even get through, and this isn't his fault, but he hasn't been able to get through a full training camp just yet. And so question one, can he make it through training camp healthy and take every single snap? TBD. We'll see. That's super important for his growth and development, though, because he was drafted as a guy who the Cowboys would have to develop. He was not really a plug-and-play, day one elite NFL talent, right? He has all the measurables you want, but he had some issues, and so he just hasn't been able to develop because of health. And number two, mentally, can he hang in there? There was an issue last season. This is my biggest worry. After he got hurt, was kind of in and out of the lineup last year, he was pulled not for physical reasons, but for mental reasons. He just wasn't mentally good. He had a ton of penalties, false starts, holds. There were drives where he had 2 penalties, back to back. It was a nightmare. And so he got pulled. Thomas went in, and that wasn't great either. So the left tackle position for the Cowboys is a huge red flag for me. And so if Tyler Guyton can step up, this is a team that should be able to put up 30 plus points every single week in the NFL, which is crazy to say, but this offense is that good. I'm not really worried about run blocking for either tackle. Both guys are pretty solid in run blocking, but Tyler Guyton has to step up and be a better pass protector for Dak Prescott, or this whole season could be sunk, right? It could be sunk right off the get-go if your tackles just aren't good enough. So question mark, can Tyler Guyton step up and improve and develop heading into year 3? First off, he's got to stay healthy. Second off, his mentals have to be there. And if those two things have green check marks next to him, he'll be a better NFL caliber left tackle heading into year 3. So there you have it. Those are some of the names that I think the Cowboys desperately need to improve heading into 2026 to have a chance to make this something special. And trust me, I really do think they have a chance to do something special here. When you look at the offense, when you look at the new DC, his plan, and you look at their draft with Caleb Downs, still every day I wake up, I've got to pinch myself. I can't believe he's a Dallas Cowboy. Malachi Lawrence as well. Phenomenal pass rusher. Excited for him in year 1. Just, they made a ton of moves where I think this team's going to find a lot of success in 2026. Schedule's going to be a little rough. We're going to have a schedule video coming out as well. Some of my thoughts on that. But listen, this team's got something cooking. And if these guys that they count on heading into year 2, 3 can really step up, I think they've got something special here. So let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Appreciate you checking out the video, and I'll catch you next time.